Sometimes we have events outside of the parliament, which was for example the case of the Cybersecurity Forum, organized by Security and Defense Agenda, which is a think tank dedicated to global security things.
I think some of our fundamental challenges in the field of information and communications policy is that the word cyber is too cool. And so when we're speaking about demystifying the cyber field or cyber activities, isn't that exactly what Edward Snowden did this summer? And that caused a lot of government agencies to be very upset. We've now had a highly traumatic debate in society about this demystification, which additionally has caused super many problems for industry actors that are helping to create the future, tomorrow, and markets for our consumers and citizens. We're talking about a place where people are envisaging to do all of European public procurement, where we're suddenly having £500 million investments in military attack capabilities. Nobody will build the future society in a war zone. That is very clear. Before the future comes, the war must end. And that is really the challenge that nobody is picking up. And so why is it that people don't want to work in the field of the insecurity industries? We have a problem in that our law enforcement agencies and military complexes are right now surrounded by legislation which encourages them to do network attacks and hacking and spying, which in turn incentivizes the creation of industries that do hacking tools, that sell vulnerabilities and exploit vulnerabilities, and that make surveillance tools. These have been used to track down regime critics and oppressive governments. People die because of this software in some countries. Their families and friends are endangered by the very fact that they are communicating an opposing point of view to their governments. And these pieces of software are developed by companies that are given money by our police forces, the least suspectable public authority that we would expect to fund that kind of insecurity and distrust. We expect our forces of law and order to uphold law and order, not to create misery, death, and disorder. And so this is the big policy problem that we're having.
Do you think that the cyber vulnerability that keeps political leaders awake at night is not surveillance and spooks and so on? It's actually the feeling that sophisticated infrastructure in advanced societies, whether it's power stations or water or whatever, could suddenly grind to a halt because we don't have enough people looking after defending the systems that the computer systems that make these things work.
Well, so I was reading this book. They're handing them out for free outside of the room. So the first introductory remarks are like defining cybersecurity. I found the 3 last paragraphs here incredibly enlightening, because you have this technology expert who's saying apparently in their panel that, listen, what we need is to have liability for fuck-ups. If you're a company and you deliver a product for a nuclear plant that has vulnerabilities in it, you should be liable for that, so that you actually have to do some security testing. We have no liability in this field. Only in the airlines industry and the shipping industry apparently do we impose liability on software vendors. Why? We have all of the other sectors like the electricity grid and the healthcare system, and our government and political systems where also we use software, but nobody is liable if something is fucked up. And so to address the issue of liability, which was raised by a person who is a software developer, that says that personally for me, I find it a problem that I'm not liable when I make mistakes. An ambassadorial person says that actually this technical expert doesn't really know what he's talking about, and the cybersecurity threat is so severe that liability doesn't fix the problem, and what do you know just because you're a software developer about this problem that affects specifically that which you're an expert in? And this is an additional then policy problem, that if we wanted to fix some of the more critical vulnerabilities, what we wouldn't have is national security agencies spending hundreds of millions of dollars on infiltrating standardization bodies with the aim of ensuring that the products of the standards that are made according to the standards are unsafe. That is what we would not do if we were genuinely interested in having a safe environment. I think the problem is that we have an insecurity industrial complex around information and networking technologies, which is sponsored by our military agencies, national security agencies, and law enforcement departments that are simply undermining every kind of sensible efforts to create security and safety in this field.